Hello everyone and welcome to week 3 of Christmas Tag Tuesday. This week is a little bit exciting because not only is Julie Carrier joining us, Chelsey Versamark asked if she could join in this week as well. So today for Tag Tuesday there will be 3 videos for you to watch to get inspiration using the Christmas snowflake mandalas. This is the stamp of the month for November. If you are a VIP in Australia, all you need to do is place an $80 order and then add this to your order and it will be added for free. If you are a customer and you place an online order that is over $80, you can add this to your cart for just $9. So this is in the October to December catalogue and it's this month's stamp of the month, and there are 9 stamps within this, and if you purchase it without a qualifying order you see that it retails for $35.50. So why wouldn't you want to be a VIP to get something this gorgeous for free, or place an order from my website and earn it for just $9. In the description box below I'll have a link to all of the products that are available to purchase, and I will also have links to Chelsey and Julie's videos as well. I've got some embossing powders put out in front of me and you can see I'm going to make some layered tags, and I'm going to be doing some heat embossing to these onto some acetate, but I'm also going to show you one where you don't have to do the heat embossing to acetate. You do need a specific product for this. There are heat resistant acetates out there on the market. This is the one that I've used and I've had it tucked away for quite some time, so it's time to bring it out and play with this gorgeous mandala set. The tags this week are going to be custom sized, so I've cut everything to 2 inches by 5.5 inches. And the first ones I'm going to show you are the acetate ones. You do need to prep this with your anti-static pouch, and I've cut these at the same size as the layer underneath as I just mentioned. I'm just going to bring in some scratch copy paper because I'm going to stamp off the edge. So I'm hoping that you can see that piece of acetate there, and I'm going to prep my area with the anti-static pouch. I'm being quite generous with it. Bring in my Versamark ink. It's quite a large stamp surface, so I'm just going to apply the Versamark ink to the stamp rather than trying to push it in. Now, if you want it all nice and even, you can line it up so that it's even there, but I'm going to go a little bit off center and stamp. Now, you want to be careful when you put the image down not to move it around at all. The acetate is a slippery surface. And I think for this first one, I've got some embossing powders that I've had in my stash for quite some time. So I'm just going to use some of these. This is a blue embossing powder. I don't even know if this brand is available anymore. But when you look at that, it comes out quite blue. I went through my embossing powder stash and had a little bit of a play. Some of them I had to get rid of because they actually didn't work anymore. Some of them do have a limited lifespan. So you just want to make sure that you use them when you've bought them and not keep them for years and years. A little area there that I want to make sure has a little bit more powder on it, and then it's just a quick tap and that looks pretty covered, and then I can pour this back into my little jar. And I'm going to do all of my heat embossing at the same time, so I'm putting that aside so that I don't bump it. Because I want my heat gun to be nice and warmed up, I'm going to do them all in one go and it'll be quick, and because we're using acetate you don't want to leave your heat gun onto the acetate piece for too long. So it's the same process, inking up the area and stamping on. And this one I'm going to do 2 snowflakes, so I'm going to cover the area, but I'm only going to do 1 lot of stamping at a time. I'm going to bring in some white embossing powder, put that on, tap it off. And it's hard to see white on white, but if I hold it over my Versamat, you can see that that's inked up quite well. And then I'll put that one aside as well. And the third one that I'm going to do on camera with the heat embossing, I'm actually going to mix my embossing powder. So I'm going to use white and I'm going to use gold embossing powder as well. Once you mix them, you can't pour them back into the jar. If you wanted to keep the embossing powder that we pour off, you could get another jar and decant it into that, but I don't want to put gold into white or vice versa. I'm just going to get my spoon out and apply the Versamark ink. This one I'm going to put in the middle, stamp that down. So you can see that block isn't moving at all. I've gone straight down, and when I go to take it off, I want to go straight up as much as possible. I'll bring in my folded piece of paper. I'm going to start with the white, and I'm just going to tap here. You can see there's not much powder going on. You need to clean your spoon off, so I'm just going to drag my fingers over that and dip into my gold and tap off again. So this is just spreading the powder across the image. And then I'm just going to shake this off a little bit and see how much is covered. So when I hold that over the black, I can see up the top here, I'm missing a few little bits. So I'm going to come back in with the white and tap it off again. And then I'll go back in with the gold again. If you did this in a stamping platform or a MISTI, you could just apply one of the powders at a time, heat that up, use Versamark ink and go back in again and apply more powder, and then keep doing the layers of the embossing powder. So once it's been heat embossed and it's cooled, you can put it back into this piece back into a MISTI and restamp with Versamark ink. Now I can see some little specks up here. I'm just going to wipe these off, and then I'm going to put this aside in a safe place while I clean up. So you can see that's a mix of white and gold there. I could put that into a different container to save it for a future project, or if I was going to make more of these, but don't pour these back into your jars. I've heated up my heat tool off camera. I'm going to bring this in and I'm just going to hold it on the edge, and I'll show you how I do this. You need to put the heat gun on and then take it off, and on and take it off. Even though this is heat-proof acetate, it won't react like a normal acetate. If you heat up a regular acetate, it will warp instantly. But with a heat-proof, you can apply heat to it as long as you don't do it over a long period of time. So I'm bringing in my heat gun and waving it over to heat up the general area. And then I'm taking it away just to let it cool down just a little bit. And then I'll bring it back in and heat again. And you can see it's starting to turn. And it's so magical watching this happen. But I'm going off and on, making sure that as soon as this changes, I take that away, let it cool a little bit, and come back again. And that hasn't warped at all, really. So I'm going to put that one aside and then come back in and do the others. So there they are, all heated up. That's the blue, the solid white, and this one here, I'm hoping you can see this on camera, has gold and white together, and it just creates a lovely effect having the mix of the two embossing powders. So now what I'm going to do for this one is do another stamped image on here. So that's the finished piece with the acetate with two of the Christmas mandalas on there. So I've got 3 bases here for the acetate ones, and then I've got another base here for the white tag. I'm going to stamp the white tag, and then that will be done and we can move on to doing everything else. For this one, I'm going to bring in a piece of white copy paper because I'm going to be stamping off the edge, and I'm going to use the smallest of the Christmas mandala. And I'm using mist ink, and I'm going to random stamp. So if you don't want to use heat acetate, or if you can't get your hands on it right now, I bought mine through Amazon quite some time ago, but that brand is still available. So I can put a link to that in the description below. But you can see I'm filling in these areas, and I'm going off the edge. Now this one here I've messed up a little bit, but we're going to make this into a tag, and by the time I do that and put a ribbon around it, it's not going to be as noticeable. So now it's time to do some ink blending, and I'm going to do ink blending with the mist, and I'm going to do mist on mist ink blending as well. Now how I cut a tag when I don't have a tag shape that fits a 2-inch wide piece, I just cut off one corner, pick that corner up, and place it in the corner. So I've turned it over, and then I can use that as a guide to cut the next piece. And there we have a perfect tag top. And then I'm going to repeat that for all of the tags that we're going to do. So this is the piece that's been cut away. I turn it upside down, line this up to the edge, and cut that again. And then I can use this one as a guide to cut the acetate pieces as well, because you want them to match. And I can do that with all of the tags. So I'm just going to go through and do this while I've got these out before I do my ink blending. I'm going to bring in a blending brush. These are ones that I've had for a long time, but Close to My Heart now has these available to purchase. And what I'm doing, I'm using my all-purpose mat, and I'm just coming off the mat and going into the edges. And I'm going to do this all the way around the outside area of these tags. It doesn't have to be perfect blending, I'm only doing one colour, but by using the brush you're not going to get the pouncy lines that you get with the blending foams. Especially with these Close to My Heart inks, I find the blending foams are really good for the Distress Oxide inks, but for these I can use the brushes. And on this white tag I'm doing the same thing. I'm just coming in from the edge, and I'm just giving this a little bit of depth. And I'm always starting on the all-purpose mat before I come in. So that's how the top and the base are going to look. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the other 3 bases. So I've got all the bottom layers done, but now I'm going to do some stamping for the back of the card. Now I prepared all my other tags while I was just on a weekend retreat. So they're the ones that I've already put together, and I have got the sentiment on the back. But what I wanted to do was have a nice long sentiment like this. What I'm using is the From Me to You special stamps that are available now. They have been designed for tags, but I think these would also make great little sentiments for the front of a card or also for the inside of the card. And the one I'm using today is The Magic of Christmas. I'll just get this out so I can show you. It's got The Magic of Christmas Never Ends, Its Greatest Gifts to Family and Friends, the To and the From, and it's got this lovely decorative swirl as well. So I'm using all of the stamps on this set, and I've lined them up on my Misty already, so you can see they're lined up so that they go down the length of the tag. And because I'm doing multiples of these, it's a good idea to use a Misty tool, and also it was easier to line everything up. And I'm doing tone on tone stamping, and I'm stamping on the back side of my tags, so I'm using the light side of Misty. So I just have a whiteboard eraser that I put over top, and if I feel like it needs to be made a little bit darker, I can do that again, especially in this area here. And because I was doing the ink blending on my all-purpose mat, some of the ink from the mat has transferred to the back side of these tags. And I actually don't mind that. It gives a little bit of extra distressing to the backs of these tags without being as intense as the front. So I can just keep going with this and the stamping until they're all done. So I have these all inked up and it's time to put them together. So I'm just matching them all up here so that you can see how they look on top of the inked up pieces. And I've got a hole punch here that I bought when Julie showed me how to use one of these on a video that she did. You can use a single hole punch, you can use whatever you like. But what I do with these is I center them on my Versamat. I love that we have these lines. So 6 is in the middle, it's a 2-inch tag. I can line up where I want my hole and that will put the holes through together. So then I can just keep going on a little production line. And you will notice on your acetate pieces that they are a little bit cloudy because we've used the anti-static pouch on them. So you just need to get a cloth and wipe that off so you get back to the nice clearness of the acetate. So I've got some ribbon here. This one is cut to about 16 inches, this fine one, and this one is cut to 12 inches. I don't actually have any lovely soft ribbon in my stash. I need to obviously go ribbon shopping again. I'm not tying a bow with this one. This is quite harsh. It's a very stiff sort of fabric. So I've just decided to do a double thread through. I'm putting the narrow one inside this one here and I'm just folding it over so I get a point, and I'm doing the good old classic feed that through and pulling that out and then just pulling it through from behind. Now you have to be very gentle when you do this because you are dealing with a paper layer, so I just generally work it quite slowly until I get the pieces down close to the hole. If I tried to pull this, because this is quite a rough ribbon, as I said, it could tear this paper piece behind here. And you don't want that to happen when you've just gone and put all the work in it. I'm just going to fuss with that a little bit. And there we have our tag all ready for the gift. And when I put it on the gift, I can move this a little bit so that it does come off center and sits on the gift like that. So I'm going to put the rest of these together and then I'll put some photos up at the end for our week 3 of Christmas tag making. Make sure you click on the links below to go and watch Chelsey and Julie's videos. I know that they've got wonderful Christmas mandala tags to share with you. I'll also have a link below to the creative design team's 6x8-inch Days of December scrapbook guide. It's something that we all worked on together. Each page has its own measurement guide so you can cut the pieces really easily and get your layouts done and put together, all ready for December to record the magic of December and Christmas. You don't have to use this book for December. I know Jama is doing a Halloween theme. You could use this for a mini travel book. You can use it to celebrate all sorts of little occasions. It would also be a wonderful book to use all the sketches for, to give as a gift for somebody, all made up and ready for them to adhere their photos to. Here are the tags all put together. One thing that I didn't do on camera for you, I've put some bitty sparkles in the center areas of the snowflakes. So these just are enough to add just the right amount of bling to them. So you can see for this one here, there's one at the top and then one at the bottom. I've just put them in the center pieces. If you wanted to add more, you could definitely add more to these to dress them up even more and give them a bit more shine. And I just think these look stunning with the heat resistant acetate. I did do one in silver. I may not have pressed as hard when I was doing the stamping because you can really see the lines with the white, but it might just be the powder. I think the silver powder might be a bit of a finer powder than the white is. And this one here is with the blue that I did, and I love how that looks. So have an experiment with whatever embossing powders you have in your stash. It was fun to go through them and bring out something that I hadn't used before, but I usually just use the ones that I order through Close to My Heart, which are the Ranger ones. So white, silver, and the gold. But you could try stamping these with Distress Oxide inks and then use the clear embossing powder over top, because the Distress Oxide inks do stay wet for a little bit longer. So as long as you're quick, you can stamp with that, put the clear embossing powder over top, and you can get a whole different range of colors onto the acetate tags than what you've got necessarily in your embossing powders. I hope you enjoyed what you saw today with today's tags, and that you'll tune in again next Tuesday when we'll have some fun tags to bring to you next week. Thank you so much for watching. Happy crafting, and bye for now.